For your eyes only, I never need to hide. You can see so much in me that's new. I never felt till I looked at you. For your eyes only.
Welcome to Drinks and a Movie, the podcast pairing great films with great booze. Fair warning, spoilers up ahead. Now here's your host, Rudy Ruiz.
Hey, welcome back to Drinks and a Movie podcast, everybody. We are continuing our James Bond series. We are now going to be discussing, oh man, I keep losing my count every time now. This is number 12 or 13. Either way, this is For Your Eyes Only from 1981. But first, let's get into our drink for this episode. Ooh, good cork pop. All right. So we're going to be trying out the Angel's Envy Triple Oak. This came out quite a few months ago, like I want to say somewhere in the middle of 2024. Let's see, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey finished in a blend of Hungarian chinkapin and French oak barrels. This is 92 proof. Let's see, let's read about it. We got a little tab on the top here. So this process begins with our Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, aged at least 4 years in toasted char number 3 American white oak casks. The aged bourbon is then filled across a selection of Hungarian, French, and chinkapin oak barrels, each imparting a distinctive finish and flavor profile. Lastly, the craft of blending is left to our master distiller, bringing these 3 unique oak finished whiskeys together into one remarkable bottle we call Triple Oak. All right, and then there's a little diagram that kind of shows what it's all like. Yeah, I mean, let's dig in. I did open this before. I got this a while ago. I've opened it, I've tried it, but it's been quite a while, so let's do it on the show right now. Here we go. Angel's Envy Triple Oak. And I think it was a limited release. I don't think it's going to be around forever. I could be mistaken, but there's definitely plenty of these I still see floating around Total Wine and whatnot. And I think it was around $70. Right. So the nose is nice. It's pretty stock, though. Nothing quite different popping out to me, like vanilla caramel, the usual, you know? Yeah, all the usual kind of notes, some kind of spice coming off this, maybe a little cinnamon. Yeah, now I'm getting like some weird, maybe that's that French oak. I can't describe it. I'm sorry, I can't describe what that scent is, but it is some kind of spicier, woodsy kind of vibe. Well, let's go in for the taste. Here we go. Cheers. Yeah, so I've got to say, it's pretty underwhelming, to be honest. I don't know. It's very light on the palate. It's pretty muted in terms of the flavors. I definitely get the vanilla. I definitely get some cinnamon and some other spice on that. Some of that woodiness, from, I get obviously these various, kind of woods they've got in here, and oaks, forms of oak. But nothing's really standing out to me too much, to be honest. It kind of comes and goes, is very light on the palate. Honestly, for me, pretty underwhelming. I'm sure there's probably more, I guess, some better tasters out there that can pick out all kinds of stuff from this. But for me right now, and maybe it's just, how I'm feeling tonight or whatever, it's been a very emotional weekend for me. Maybe that's impacting this. It just, yeah, it's really underwhelming. Let me do a third sip here. Yeah, I don't even start to taste anything until I swallow it. Like when I get it on my palate and I kind of roll it around a little bit, it doesn't even really impart any flavor. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I'll keep sipping it as we go through this recording. I'm definitely not too keen on it as it stands. Maybe that'll change as I talk here and we move on. But yeah, very underwhelmed with that one. And unfortunately, I was somewhat underwhelmed with this movie. Let's get into it. For Your Eyes Only, 1981.
For your eyes only. It's Roger Moore as Ian Fleming's James Bond 007.
5 days ago, our spy ship was sunk in the Ionian Sea. She was equipped with ATAC.
Have we begun a salvage operation?
We asked Sir Timothy Havelock to secretly locate the wreck. He and his wife were killed by Hector Gonzalez. Police were able to identify Gonzalez by Melina, Sir Havelock's daughter.
Explosive. Exclusive.
Well, I trust you, Elgar.
For your amazement, this bond is for you.
Oh, by the way, we haven't been properly introduced, Melina. My name is Bond. James Bond.
Mr. Bond, you have shot your last bolt.
We're not dead yet.
I'm the Countess Lisa von Schloss. Why not come in for a bite?
For your eyes only can see me through the night.
This bond is for your eyes only. No one comes close to 007. When 007 comes close to you.
All right, so after the big budget of Moonraker and just kind of the trend following they've been doing for the last, really this whole 70s era, this film really kind of brings Bond back down to basics, right? It got very extravagant, was getting pretty silly. They sent him to space and all that. And I wasn't too, into Moonraker, as you would have heard already. And a lot of people cite this as a really strong entry in the franchise. I think because it's back to basics and, a lot more grounded in what's going on and what his mission is and not leaning so much on the gadgets and whatnot. But I thought it was kind of fine, to be honest. It's another one that I'll, definitely have to go back and revisit again, as I will have to do with all of these at some point. But yeah, I mean, so to give you the quick little synopsis here, it's essentially about, this submarine or the ship, whatever, goes down and there's something on there called the ATAC, which is some kind of nuclear weapon control. I don't even remember, but that's the MacGuffin here. And the Russians are trying to get it, so Bond has to try and get it first, and somebody else gets a hold of it. And basically Bond has to get this thing. Let's just start with the cold open and we'll kind of work through it here. So I will say right out the gate, it was very interesting because we open up in a cemetery, and whose grave do we see but Bond's wife, right? From On Her Majesty's Secret Service. It even has on the tombstone that we have all the time in the world, which is the title song from that movie, or which was the song from that movie that Louis Armstrong also did vocals for. And we see Bond at the grave lay flowers down. And this has been the first mention. I mean, they did mention it in Spy Who Loved Me. And I remember praising that because I like that it's keeping that continuity, even though it doesn't really impact Bond that much, it seems. But it was really interesting and honestly kind of refreshing to see this, to remind us that, yeah, there is a continuity. We've been through 3 different actors already, but it is the same guy. It is the same story. The same guy's gone through all these experiences. So I did really enjoy that. And then he gets on a helicopter. They tell him that it's MI6 and they need him, so they're taking him away. And suddenly the pilot gets electrocuted to death and the helicopter's remote controlled. And we see that it's clearly Blofeld. They don't show his face, but you see the white cat with like the white cat. You see his same kind of gray getup, the bald head. He's in a wheelchair and like a neck brace. So they never show his face, but it's obviously him. And this was because, and we talked a little bit about this in earlier episodes, there's kind of a lawsuit situation. We'll get into it more when we eventually do Never Say Never Again. But, Kevin McClory had the rights to Spectre and the character. That's part of why they haven't brought him back. So there's that whole dispute going. So they don't say his name is Blofeld. They don't show his face or anything, but we can put together that it is. And I thought that was interesting too, because we haven't seen him since Diamonds Are Forever. And I always figured he survived that because you never actually see him die. Like they were swinging him around when he was in that little sub with the crane, which was kind of silly. And I kind of felt like there's no way, is he really dead? Like going out like a chump like that? But here he is, and he's taunting Bond, messing with him, gonna like flying him around dangerously. But Bond takes control of the helicopter and then he ends up scooping up Blofeld. And it turns into this humorous moment where he's, oh, I'll buy you a delicatessen and a stainless steel, and the way he's begging for his life, and Roger Moore is making jokes and pat him on the head or whatever. And then he throws him down a chimney and that's the end of him. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. I like the way it started, and I'm like, okay, we're establishing maybe he's the villain now. He's not, I'll tell you that. And if you're thinking, again, spoiler alert, right? And if you're thinking like, oh, he's going to come back later, he doesn't. Like that's the end. They just throw him down the chimney. And it was just weird that it started off on this really dramatic note of him laying the flowers down, and then they just turn it into something funny when he gets rid of Blofeld, who was responsible for the death of his wife. So that was like, okay, it started well and then got kind of weird towards the end there. Then the song starts. So this one was by Sheena Easton. And, when I listen to other people speak about this movie, a lot of folks seem to really enjoy this song and throw it up there with the best of them. I did not care for it. I find it completely unmemorable. I haven't even gone back to listen to it. Moonraker, I didn't care for either, which reminds me, I didn't even talk about the Moonraker song. I forgot. Shirley Bassey came back, did that song, Moonraker. But that's another one that I felt was pretty weak. So the songs are starting, from Man with the Golden Gun on, are starting to get pretty not that great, in my opinion. And I kind of judge it based off, what music have I been going back and listening to? And these are not on it. They were just quickly forgettable for me. Apparently a lot of people like it. But the opening credit sequence is kind of cool too, because it's the first time we see the singer, Sheena Easton. She's kind of incorporated into all the like graphics and everything, the cool openings that Bond always gives us. And from what I understand, I think that was actually the official music video for the song too. So they just used the opening title sequence, which is, a good use of it. People put a lot of work into that. So I dig that. And yeah, I mean, then, he goes on his mission. One thing I do have to point out, another aspect that I enjoyed was, when he goes to see M and Moneypenny and them, it's always in Q. It's always in these secret bases they have, like, is there globe-trotting around in the movies. But here he goes back to, I guess what would be the MI6 headquarters, which we haven't seen him do in a while, I feel. Maybe in just a couple movies. But there's this great shot where we see Lois Maxwell, and clearly everyone's been aging here. So it's really interesting to see. I mean, we're 1981. Dr. No was 62. So we're 19 years in, guys, like 19 years in. I mean, yeah, basically 20 years in. So, everyone's getting up there and looking pretty old now. So Lois Maxwell, you see a shot of her in the mirror, or she's like looking in a mirror or something. And there's a coat rack behind her and the hat lands on the coat rack, like the old, Sean Connery hat throw. We haven't seen that in a long time. So that was another good moment of like, oh yeah, reminding us that it is the same guy and kind of bringing us back to basics. And I got to say, everybody, like, I do miss that stuff. I have a feeling I'm going to be walking away from the whole franchise saying that Sean Connery was the best Bond. And yeah, so I don't know. It's just nice to see that and to finally see them kind of talk again. It's been a minute, even though I mean, it's different. It doesn't play out the same way with them being aged. And even I think Roger Moore is in his 50s now at this point, because if I remember correctly, I think he was like 41, early 40s when he started. So we're seeing him, age as well. And on that note, unfortunately, Bernard Lee, who's been playing M since the very beginning, passed away, I think, during the production of this film before he could shoot any of his scenes. I think he had stomach cancer and, he couldn't, get into the movie, unfortunately. So one thing I do appreciate is that, Broccoli did not want to recast him out of respect. So they change it up by just saying M is on leave, and then they bring in, it's the prime minister, and there's this other superior guy. So it's these two kind of guys that come in and fill that void. And then I guess they expanded some of the scenes for Q and gave him like a scene or two that was supposed to be M originally, to kind of fill the void. So yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, Bernard Lee, I feel like that's another icon. Like him and Lois Maxwell got to get some credit for their role in all these movies, So there's that. Now, the Bond girl, so to speak, in this movie, Melina, is a really interesting one that I wish they developed more, where part of what sets off the story is her family, her parents get killed by a hitman, and then she's, seeking revenge, and that's what it causes. This is all part of the same mission to get the ATAC, because they were working on the ATAC stuff or something, or finding it. So she ends up being in cahoots with Bond. And what I like with this one, honestly, maybe some people don't like it, is that he's not, and it doesn't feel like he's immediately trying to bang her or flirt with her, and he understands she's on this mission of revenge, and she's got a crossbow, which is just kind of a cool, unique weapon. Is it practical? I don't know, but it's kind of neat. It just sets her apart, from like just having a gun. But it's a cool character, and I wish they did a little more with it. Maybe just the fact that she's teamed up with him and again on this quest for revenge more so than anything. And he's trying to convince her that, if you seek revenge, you need to dig two graves, one for yourself and all that. Yeah. And I don't know. I think they could have done more. She has some agency, she does some stuff and he's not just immediately trying to bang her, like I said. So I don't know. It's cool. It feels different, but in a good way, not like they're changing the character, but it just freshens it up a little bit. So I do like that. And I'm trying to remind myself the actress's name right now, but she's very, very pretty. And I think is good. Her dubbing is pretty crazy sometimes, but Carol Bouquet. Yeah. And another thing with this movie, so the villain is a pretty forgettable one, Christados, which it's a double-edged sword for me. Like he's kind of forgettable and doesn't do a whole lot, but at the same time, what I like is in this movie, we are getting away from like the billionaire that just has some kind of destroy the world or build a civilization in space or under the sea or whatever thing we've kind of been doing for a while. It's just this dude who's, trying to make this money, sell the ATAC to the Russians or whatever. And yeah, I just like the change up there. So again, he's not cool or memorable, but I appreciate doing something different. And what does make it interesting, here's the other edge of the sword, is they actually twist it up where, he's helping Bond out, or so we think, but it turns out he was framing another dude to, get killed by Bond. And then they flip it on us and show us that, oh, he's actually the bad guy, Christados, who was played by, what's his name, Julian Glover, who was Donovan in Raiders of the Lost Ark, the villain of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. That's what I meant to say. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of interesting. We get some amazing stunts in this one as well, like we've seen in the last several movies, but nothing, I guess it just seems like familiar territory. We get another ski chase, and like there's even a bobsled track section, which is kind of cool in the sense that it reminds me of On Her Majesty's Secret Service. But again, now we're starting to see a lot of the same stuff. Like I remember watching On Her Majesty's and thinking, all right, this is cool. We haven't been in the snow yet. We haven't done the ski thing. Like this is fresh. And now we've done it, but we've done pretty much everything at this point. I mean, the dude even went to space. Like, what do you want, So there is some cool stunts, some cool moments. Charles Dance, who I know a lot of people probably know him from, I think, what is it? The Dragon. I never watched the show, The House of the Dragon or whatever. Oh man, I'm forgetting it. You know what I'm talking about. If you know, you know, but I always think of him as Benedict from, what's it called? The Benedict from Last Action Hero. But anyway, he's one of the henchmen in this movie. So I was like, all right, that's interesting. And yeah, man, I mean, it just, all in all, I felt like the movie was just kind of fine. It was just okay. Now, I don't know if maybe it just because, I'm pretty much watching one movie each night almost. And maybe I'm just starting to get to a point with the last few movies of being kind of over it. But again, there are aspects I like, and I do still look forward to it. Every night I look forward to getting to the next one. Because again, they're mostly all films I haven't seen yet. And I'm excited to see the progression. I mean, we're coming to the end of the Roger Moore era. We're about to get into Timothy Dalton. We're about to get into the 90s. And, just seeing how it evolves over the decades is super cool. And with that, I have to say, talking about evolving, I really miss that John Barry music. And in this film, I was surprised to see that Bill Conti actually composed all the score for this. Bill Conti, famous for the Rocky soundtrack and Karate Kid, and personal favorite, Blood In, Blood Out. Not enough people talk about that score. It's amazing. Look it up, Blood In, Blood Out. And of course, that film, really epic film. But he does the music, and so you can hear and see right off the bat, it's a totally different vibe than what we've seen before, and maybe a little more 80s driven as we're getting into this point. And some of it could maybe be cool if I watch this another time later, but for the most part, again, first impression, first viewing, the music was not working for me. Yeah, it just seemed like maybe too much of a departure, but we'll see how I feel, when I watch this a couple years from now or whenever. But yeah, as it stands now, wasn't really feeling it. Sometimes it felt out of place, to be honest. I don't think I have too much more to say about this one. Again, I found myself, honestly kind of feeling bored at times, and sitting here and being like, wait, how did we get under the water? Like, just even bored that I'm like losing track of like, how did we get to this place? How did we get to that place? What are we doing? Why are they diving in the water now? Like, what's happening? And stuff like that. And there are some cool locations though. They go to Greece in this one, and there's like, the bad guys like home or whatever lair, whatever you want to, it's not really a lair, but is on the top of this, I forgot what it's called, but this like mountain, and we got to see Bond like climb up this thing, and someone's trying to cut his ropes down. And that was a pretty tense scene when he's trying to climb up, and one of the bad guys is like pulling out all the hooks. And every time he goes up, he like falls a little more, and there's like one little hook left that he's hanging on for dear life. I thought, that was pretty well done. That was cool. I do have to bring up that John Glenn directed this one. I think he's going to go on to direct a handful of the movies. And if I remember correctly, he was an editor on a lot of the previous films, maybe most of them. I may have brought him up at some point in the past. I don't remember. But yeah, so that's something worth noting. Yeah, it looks like he's going to do quite a few, like the next several. So yeah, let me double check. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So yeah, this is movie number 12. Okay, so yeah, not too much else to say on this one. It is worth watching. Again, there's some stuff in here I like. I do feel like some of the drama is undercut with weird choices of humor, particularly in the opening scene. I think one of the best Bond girls so far. I think it's like a fresh take, and I like that she kind of has her own goal and kind of mission that she's trying to do and whatnot. And I like the switch up of kind of tricking us with who the bad guy is, even though if we find out who the villain is, they're like kind of forgettable. Yeah, as of now, not very high in my rankings, but we'll see what happens. So we're 12 in, like not quite halfway yet, but almost there. So that's that on this one, everybody. If you are listening, thank you for being along the ride for me. I hope you're enjoying the journey, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this movie. What do you think about the music? Let's get some engagement on the Instagram, or feel free to send me a message, an email, drinksinthemoviepod@gmail.com and whatnot. And again, I was going to say, let me know if there's any episodes coming up or any movies you'd want to talk about, if you're someone who's passionate about a certain movie. But I'm like pretty far ahead on these. So by the time you hear this, I might already be done watching all of them the way I'm scheduling them out. So anyway, folks, yeah, that's a wrap on this one. Let me try this Angel's Envy one more time. Yeah, a little more vanilla coming out. It's fine. It's fine. A little bit, a little more flavor coming now that it's sat here for a while, but still not quite for me. So I don't know. I feel about this movie the way I feel about this Angel's Envy Triple O. Well, that's a wrap, everybody. Thank you for listening. Cheers.